My mom and dad separated when I was 6 and each went their separate ways. Of course, they had joint custody of me, but they both started new families. When I was 9, my mom married a man, let's call him Robert, who already had a daughter, let's call her Kira, who was 2 years older than me. My dad got engaged when I was 8 to a wonderful woman, let's call her Layla, who he married when I was 12. My relationship with Layla is beautiful. She has truly been a mother to me. She basically helped my dad raise me. She takes an interest in my life. She comfort me. She advise me. We have common interests and we do many activities together. She and I recently talked about the possibility of having her legally adopt me as soon as I come of age. Doing so now would be a bit messy legally because of my parents' joint custody. Because, for me, she is my real mother and I want it to be official. My relationship with my bio mother, on the other hand, is almost non-existent. Even though I was forced to spend specific days with her, we never managed to bond because she spent all her time giving attention and affection to Kira, who already have her own mother. Even when she tried to involve me in some activity, she always included Kira and we had to do only what Kira liked. At a certain point I started to decline her invitations and often asked if I could avoid going to her on the set days because I was almost always ignored or left aside and I preferred to stay at home with my father and Layla. My father always tried to understand me but he also had to honor the rules set by the judge. When I got more mature he admitted that he was afraid that my mother might make some mean move in court if he agreed to not let me go to her on the appointed days. Yeah, this is something my mother would do. After knowing this, I understood my father's reasons and I absolutely don't want to put him in trouble, so I didn't make such requests anymore and I respected my schedule. Now let's get to the point. In 2 weeks I will finally turn 18. I was lucky because my birthday falls on the days I have to stay with my dad, so Layla and I started planning my birthday a month ago. It will be nothing too crazy, just a party with family and friends at my favorite pizza place. A casual night where I just want to have fun with the people I care about and do what I like. The place also has karaoke and I love singing. Of course, after booking and setting everything up we sent out the invitations and this extended to my mother as well. Honestly, I didn't really want her there, but then I thought that this would actually be the last time I was forced to be involved with her because, once I turn 18 I won't be forced to follow the judge's rules anymore. So we sent out the invitations 2 days ago and we already had almost all the answers, so we could organize the precise number to send to the pizza place. The only thing missing was my mother who saw the text and did not respond. I told my father that I would not insist and if she did not respond, then it meant she did not want to come and I was fine with that. I think my father was also a little relieved by the idea, even if he didn't say it openly but I could see it on his face. Anyway, the drama started this afternoon. My mother called me, very angry, accusing me of being childish and that I shouldn't have planned anything without telling her first. This left me a little confused and I reminded her that I always planned all my birthdays with Dad and Layla. Most of the time she didn't even remember, so complaining now was quite hypocritical. This made her even angrier and started attacking me because Kira had been crying ever since I sent the invitation to my mother because she had already planned a whole birthday party for me. And I was really speechless because the relationship between me and Kira is zero. She is the classic spoiled brat who always wants to be the center of attention and my mother has always supported this behavior of hers, making it worse, and clearly she and I have never gotten along. I just didn't understand why the hell Kira wanted to organize a birthday party for me. It didn't make sense. I asked her why she did it and especially why she did it without telling me. I mean, she didn't really think I wouldn't make any plans for my 18th birthday, right? It was ridiculous. My mother said it was supposed to be a surprise, and since I didn't tell her about my plans, she thought I didn't want to do anything for my birthday. And I mean, she could have asked? No? No. But here comes the worst part and, I admit, the one that made me lose my cool. My mother started listing all the things Kira had prepared for my party, maybe to rub in my face what I would have missed, and they were all Kira's favorite activities. Things that I didn't like. She had booked a fish restaurant for launch and I don't eat fish. Not because of some whim but because it make me feel sick. Just smelling fish makes me feel nauseous. I'm not allergic, I had it checked, my body simply rejects it. She also booked an afternoon activity at a ranch near the city where my mother now live where you can ride horses and, well, I don't like it. I have nothing against horses in particular, but the idea of riding one or getting really close to an animal that big scares me. Then she thought about going back to my mom's house for a backyard barbecue for dinner and I just don't want to do that because I don't want to spend more time with my mom than I have to. My mother also said they had already sent out invitations to everyone and at that point I was really speechless but I had to ask her who she had sent them to because my friends, my dad and his family hadn't received anything. It turns out that at the party was mostly invited to Robert's family, my mom's family and Kira's friends. I mean, it was basically a party organized by Kira for herself but under the pretext that it was for my birthday. So, I didn't hold back anymore. I laughed in my mother's face and hung up the phone. It was all too ridiculous to be true, come on. My dad came to me a little while ago, saying that my mom called him mad because I laughed in her face when she told me about the party they had organized for me and he was very upset about it. He was starting to say that, despite all the feelings I had for my mom, they were trying to do a nicer thing for once but I stopped him right away and explained in details how the party had been organized, a detail that my mom apparently left out with him. His expression changed quickly. He just said, "I'm going to make a phone call," and I've been hearing him yelling at my mother for at least 20 minutes by now. Layla came to me after learning about the situation and said that as much as she could relate to me, I was a little rude to laugh in my mother's face and hang up without explaining. For her, I should have spoken out like an adult despite my feelings and sort things out in a civil and mature way. She wasn't angry, just a bit disappointed about how I acted. As soon as she left, I thought about my actions and maybe I was a little hasty, but I don't think talking to my mom about it would have helped honestly. But maybe I could have handled it better? I'm starting to think I was a bit of an asshole in that moment. I mean, what did she, the bio mom, think was going to happen? You were going to grovel and accept the crumbs being thrown your way? Answer is, she wasn't thinking. She was just going along with Kira, same old, same old. The thing is, people like that just rely on people like you to just keep on keeping on, without any sort of pushback. And when the inevitable pushback happens, they can't handle it. Could you have been more polite? Yeah, probs. Was it fully justified? Oh hell yeah. You are, not the Australian dollar's hole. This internet stranger is proud of you. Proud of the way you sucked the situation up and just dealt with it when you had no choice. Proud of the way you have formed a close relationship with your father and stepmother. And proud as hell for you standing up for yourself. Best wishes for a wonderful birthday. XXX to add to this, mom should strap in because she's about to get a rude awakening if op stops any and all contact after her b-day. So really, this is for the benefit of all involved. I understand where Layla might be coming from, but if your parent doesn't respect you at nearly 18, there's zero reason to hold back. Update 1. First of all, I talked to Layla about my reaction to my mother. Layla raised me on the importance of communication and always pushing me to talk about my problems so I could solve them, so I see where her comment about my behavior came from and I understand it. But I also gave her my point of view, telling her that the situation my mother was explaining was too absurd and laughing is the only natural instinct that came to me. While my mother was talking at some point I thought, is it a joke? Or some sort of bad prank? Is she making this all up? Because her bullshits was absolutely ridiculous. Layla said she understood me, and as many of you have told me, she just wanted me to understand that there will be situations in my life where I can't just laugh and hang up the phone, and she was just worried about my reaction. Anyway, we managed to clear the matter between us and I'm happy. I also talked to my dad about the phone call he had with my mom. Apparently, my mom had an excuse for everything. She said that Kira just wanted to do a nice sisterly gesture on my big day, that she wanted to share her hobby, riding horses, with me, and that she never thought my fish problem was a real problem but just a whim, and the restaurant they had booked it made the best fish around. And that last one is a lie because, when I was little, I threw up a couple of times in front of my mom just because we went somewhere that smelled strongly of fish, so she know very well it's a real issue for me. My dad retorted that nothing they had prepared had been done for me, that Kira had clearly planned the party for herself, and what kind of party was it for me if none of my important people were there? My mother didn't respond to this, she just started ranting that I was ungrateful and spoiled, so my father told her to go to hell and hung up the phone. After hearing this, I decided to follow another piece of advice you gave me and wrote a message to my mother. This time I decided to be mature and wrote the message in the most polite way possible. I apologized for laughing, but what she was saying was too ridiculous, so it was the only possible reaction from my side. I reminded her that she never put any effort into building a relationship with me, that she doesn't know me at all and has never cared about getting to know me, and since the birthday party Kira organized only had things that Kira liked, they could enjoy it together with their family and friends. I also told her that her invitation to my pizza party was withdrawn and she shouldn't bother showing up since she had already made it clear with the last phone call what her priorities were, and now I was going to do it too, and she was absolutely not on my priority list. I already have Layla as a mother and I can't be more happy with her. I concluded by wishing her well with her new family and asked her not to contact me again. She read the message but didn't respond, and I'm fine with that. If she were to respond, I'm sure it would just be more complaints about me being ungrateful and spoiled. Because I know that talking to her is useless, she would not understand or pretend not to understand, but clarifying things once and for all has put an end to our situation. At least on my side I had a sort of closure, and I thank you all for that. I probably would have given up and ended contact with her after my 18th Witooth said anything, but your comments helped me understand that a firm end was necessary. For those who asked how my mom could throw me a surprise party when I wasn't with her, my dad asked her the same question, along with asking her how she could think he wouldn't throw me an 18th birthday party. My dad took it a bit personally, lol, and she said they had planned for Robert to come get me the morning of my birthday, explain the situation to Dad and Layla, and then take me to Mom's house under some pretense. Honestly, I don't know how it would have worked. I would have flat out refused to go to my mother's if it wasn't our set days, no matter what excuse they would have made up, and most of all I would never have left Layla and Dad to go to Mom's on my 18th birthday. It would have been one thing if my mother and I had a good relationship, but that was definitely not the case. In all of this, the only person I don't feel like blaming is Robert. We never had a close relationship, but he was always polite to me when we lived under the same roof. He even cleared out his study so I could have a permanent room in his house when I went to my mother's. We didn't develop any stepdaughter-stepfather bond, but he always tried to be kind to me, so I don't blame him for any of this. It's likely that he really thinks the party is for me. We don't know each other well enough for him to know my tastes unless my mother told him, which I highly doubt she did. Luckily, I didn't leave anything of mine at my mother's house either. All my things are here at my father's house permanently. Usually, I would pack my suitcase when I went to my mother's with the things I needed for those days and then bring them back when I went back to my father's. I never felt safe leaving anything to her because Robert's family and Kira's friends came over often and I didn't want to leave anything of mine out in the open to strangers. Well, that's it for now. I hope my mom respects my wish to go no contact and doesn't bother me anymore after that. I'd also like to bring up the adoption conversation with Layla after the holidays. She seemed really happy when we first talked about it. Thanks again everyone for your kind words and advice. Your insights have helped me better manage the situation. I can understand that I'm still a little immature, but I feel that this experience has helped me grow a little more and see the issue from other points of view. All the best for you, guys. I thought about it, but I don't have his number. We never felt the need to stay in touch as our interactions were mostly casual chit-chat and good morning/evening/goodbye. I don't have Kira's number either, so I think Robert and I already said goodbye for good the last time I left my mother's house. I don't really have much contact with my mother's family. They are just 3 people, my grandmother, my aunt, and my uncle. My uncle lives a few hours away from here with his family and I've seen him very few times during the holidays I spent with my mother, and our interactions were very brief and distant. With my aunt and my grandmother I only have a cordial relationship. We exchange holiday greetings by text. A few times they've sent me gifts for my birthday, always money loaded onto my father's card, but that's it. Even the few times I've met them we had casual conversations about how each other's lives were going, but nothing more. In fact, I haven't invited any of them to my 18th and they haven't texted me anything since the drama with my mother happened, so I think they just don't care that much. Now on to second story. Found out about our pregnancy through my wife's friend's Instagram story, sparking chaos and tears before anyone personally told me. I'm 29, and she is 27. We've been together for 4 years, married for 2, both from the same hometown but currently living in a different city. She's at our hometown for a family event, and I stayed back due to work. We've been trying to get pregnant for 3 months, and now it's happened. The problem is the way I found out about it. My friend congratulated me by posting a screenshot in our group chat, a screenshot of an Instagram story posted by one of my wife's friends. The post was my wife crying and hugging some of her friends, with the caption, "You are going to be the best mom." I called her right away, and she answered pretty quickly, saying, "I have news, babe." All I said was, "I know, you're pregnant." She replied, "Wow, babe, how did you know?" I just said, "Saw it on Insta." "Didn't think to call me first, huh?" She said, "What? I didn't post anything." I responded, "Yeah, but your friends did. That's one way to find out I'm going to be a dad, thanks," and I hung up. I was furious. She kept calling me, and I didn't answer until my sister called shortly after. My sister asked me what was going on because she'd just arrived at my in-laws' house, and everyone was freaking out, fighting, and my wife was locked up in her room. I told her what happened, and she said, "There's no way she would do that." I replied, "Well, she did." My sister said she was going to find out what was going on. A little later, my sister called me back and explained everything. At that point, I'd calmed down, thinking it was just a crappy friend who decided to post without permission. But my sister filled me in on the details. My wife was late on her period and, while hanging out with a friend, they thought, "What if you're already pregnant?" So they bought a bunch of pregnancy tests, all of which came out positive. They freaked out, told her parents, and then texted some friends in town to come over. From the time she found out to the time her friend posted on Instagram, only 2 hours had passed. My wife told at least 10 people before telling me. For the record, my sister told me that the argument going on when she arrived was because the other friends were upset with the one who posted on Instagram. Apparently, they all thought it was a shitty thing to do and were mad at her. But they also couldn't understand why my wife hadn't told me sooner. I finally called my wife, and she was crying. She apologized and said she'd been planning to surprise me, which was why she hadn't told me yet. I was skeptical and pointed out that if she'd really wanted to surprise me, she wouldn't have been ready to tell me right when I called. She went silent, and I told her I needed some time to think. She yelled, saying I couldn't just walk away and that we needed to talk about it. I replied, "Why do we need to talk? So you can lie again?" And I hung up. A ton of people have been messaging me, but I'm honestly exhausted. I don't know why, but this has drained me. I've cried randomly, which is unusual for me. I'm not a crier. This isn't supposed to be a huge deal, but it feels like I've been hit by a truck. My sister sent me a message that really stuck. "Hey, I know this sucks, and it was crappy of her, but don't let this ruin it for you. You're going to be a dad. You're going to be an amazing dad. This is great. The only thing keeping me going right now is knowing that I'm going to be a dad. I've dreamed of this, and all I hope is that this baby is healthy." I'll probably swallow my pride and pretend I'm fine just to avoid making my wife too emotional during the pregnancy. But I'll do that tomorrow. Tonight, I'll just sulk. Edit, I posted this into the Reddit void, thinking nothing of it, and woke up to thousands of comments and dozens of DMs. Holy shit. Thank you so much for caring. Just to clarify a couple things, do I think the baby might not be mine? Classic Reddit lol. No chance she cheated. She works from home and we have home security cameras inside the house, so that's not happening in our house. She does not do girls' nights. Her best friend in the city we live in is a female coworker of mine and we hang out the three of us often. They text each other a lot but almost never hang out one-on-one. If they do, it's at our house with me in the next room. Also, my wife is the clingiest person alive. Like, when I'm at work, she texts me every 30 minutes, and when I'm at home, she is always at least in the same room I'm in if she isn't cuddling up to me. When we are out, she is always holding my arm, my hand, literally does not leave my side. I honestly actually love it most of the time. I feel loved. But it is too much sometimes and we had a fight about it weeks ago. I even questioned if this fight was the reason she didn't tell me right away, but it's probably not it. On her friends, they are all very nice people. I've known them for a long time now. My sister is part of the friend group, and some of them have been friends since they were like 12. My wife is the only one that lives in a different city, so they always hang out a lot when she is in town. I cannot emphasize enough how out of character this whole situation is for her. She has many flaws, like every other person, but being inconsiderate is not one of them. That's why I woke up in the middle of the night with a feeling like I'm actually completely wrong on this because she would not do this on purpose. There is no way. So I sent her a text just saying that everything is fine and that I will drive the 4 hours down there to talk. She was actually awake and asked if she could call. She did and said she wanted to come home. I said that I was going over there to pick her up. She asked, "Are we okay?" I just said yes, and she started to cry. I told her that I'm very happy, and am dying to see her, but we will need to talk about it. She calmed down a bit after that. Update 1. Hello again, things have settled down now, and I feel like I have all the information, so I'm here to give y'all an update. When I got to my in-laws, my wife was sitting on the sidewalk waiting for me. She jumped on me and kept apologizing, just hugging me and saying how sorry she was. We went to her room, and I told her I was really tired and wanted a nap before our talk. We slept holding each other. When we woke up, our talk felt like an endless circle, me asking what happened and her saying that she was stupid and that it was her fault. She kept saying it didn't matter what happened because she screwed up a big moment in our lives. I kept asking, but she just repeated that she messed up and that nothing else mattered. Eventually, she said she didn't want to give me excuses and that the right thing for her to do was take responsibility and apologize. I eventually gave in, told her she was forgiven, and said everything was fine. Still, I went to talk to her friend, the one who was with her all day and bought the pregnancy test with her. Her story was that, right after my wife tested positive, they spent about an hour freaking out and talking about ways to tell me or surprise me. Eventually, my mother-in-law got home, and they told her. Together, they decided to invite their girlfriends over to discuss ways to tell me. The friend went over all their ideas, and I 100% believe her. She also said it was discussed with the group that I didn't know yet and that they should all keep quiet for now because we hadn't decided when to announce it. She says the one girl who posted it on Instagram absolutely did it on purpose. She had been told not to say anything to anyone, and, at that point, they were even discussing ways to tell me with her. The picture she posted was taken when another friend had just arrived and heard the news. For some reason, she decided to post about it right then and there. Apparently, when they confronted her, she initially claimed she didn't know she wasn't allowed to post it. She stuck to that lie for a while, but eventually, she just told everyone she didn't give a shit and left. She blocked everyone in the group, and we haven't heard from her since. No one knows why she did it. They don't know if she's jealous of my wife or something else. At this point, we don't care. She's blocked on our end too, and we want no contact with her. My sister later confirmed the friend's story. When she first called me with details, she was under the impression my wife had just told everyone and forgot to tell me. But after talking to other friends and my mother-in-law, she told me basically the same story. I was also told by the friend I spoke to, my mother-in-law, and another friend that when I called my wife, she basically said, "Screw it, I'm telling him right now," and was super excited to do it. Me and my wife talked again during our trip back home, now with me having most of the details, and she told her side, basically identical to what my sister and the friend told me. She was again very apologetic and kept saying that I'm her #1 priority, and that this was one of the dumbest things she has ever done. We have a couples counseling appointment next week at her insistence. I honestly don't think it's necessary, but she believes I need a space to fully express my feelings. She's worried I forgave her too fast and that I'm bottling everything up. Honestly, her concern about my feelings is already enough for me to forgive her and chalk this up as a one-time thing. We also had our first appointment with an obstetrician, first because it's obviously the right thing to do, but also because many people warned me about the risks of miscarriages in early pregnancy. My wife's last period was about 6 weeks ago, and the doctor said it was a bit early for an appointment. Still, they ran a bunch of tests and confirmed my wife is indeed pregnant. So far, everything looks fine.